Good morning, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for joining us today for this second last webinar before the Easter break of the Kapo series, the Kapo training and webinar series. Before I would like also, once again, I would like to warmly welcome everyone on behalf of Professor Marta Pinzone, my esteemed colleagues Francesco, Danusuya, and overall whole Da Capo consortium. Thanks again. We really appreciate and value your time. Little bit about Da Capo. Da Capo is digital assets and tools for circular value chains and manufacturing products, which aim to develop human-centric digital tools and services to enhance the adoption of circular economy strategies across manufacturing value chains and product lifecycle by focusing on areas such as new digital assets, AI-based systems, process and products for digital twins, which will significantly improve sustainability, circularity, and efficiency of critical raw materials in manufacturing. Little bit about more. We have 15 partners from 10 different European countries in the Capo consortium. You can see here in the map where they exactly located geographically. About this training and webinar series, this webinar and series program hosted by POLIMI Manufacturing Group, which aim to empower professionals for twin transitions, providing valuable knowledge and tools to advance circular and sustainable product and processes and business models. You can expect expert-led sessions, collaborative exchange during the webinar, and take practical insights to apply in your organizations or workplace. Today, for this webinar, which is titled as 6P Maturity Model for the Twin Transitions, we have with us Francesco Marzolo from Politecnico di Milano School of Management Manufacturing Group. Before I hand over to Francesco, we have some housekeeping rules. To have a successful webinar, please keep your microphone on mute. Use the chat box for any kind of comments and questions. Questions we will take in the end of the session. And raise your hand for any kind of interventions during the webinar. Thank you. Now onwards, floor is to you, Francesco.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Srini, for introducing. I would also like to thank you so much, Marta Pinzone, for inviting me to this presentation and all the Da Capo organization. Today, I'm not going to comment about the relevance of circular economy because this is an issue that has already been treated in other webinars. So today, I would like to focus on a tool that POLIMI has developed to increase the awareness about circular economy among SME participants and stakeholders. And the name of this tool is the 6P Circular Economy Transformation Model. First of all, I would like to say a couple of things about the criteria that we follow when in POLIMI we prepare this type of tools that assess the maturity or suggest a transformation. Normally, for us, it is important to achieve two goals. One, of course, is the collection of information for the purposes of the European projects, of studies, and for our internal evaluation. The other purpose that we always try to keep in mind when we develop this tool is to be useful to the compilers that normally are SMEs, to inform them, to provide them with information about the matter that we are handling, so that not only from our side we have some advantages in collecting information, but also the SME that is compiling the tool can have some hints, suggestion, information about the subject at issue. This is because SMEs very often, who are very often the participants in the European projects, do not have normally the time to explore new opportunities, new concepts, because they are very often taken into their day-to-day operation. And so we try to provide this type of opportunity for them when we deliver these assessments tools. in order to introduce the 6P, let me say a couple of words to frame about the maturity models, the digital maturity models that POLIMI has developed in the past. So I will mention a couple of these tools. The first one is Dreamy. Dreamy is a tool that was developed 7-8 years ago, and that assesses the maturity of organization and in particular of manufacturing industry with regards to Industry 4.0. And it investigates 6 areas that are all relevant to Industry 4.0, that is design and engineering, production, quality, maintenance, logistics, and supply chain. And it evaluates these 6 areas according to 4 dimensions of analysis: organization, execution, monitoring, and technology. This is a tool that, an assessment that takes place on premise through interviews to the responsible of these 6 areas. And normally it takes a couple of days for the interviews, and then there is the elaboration of the answers. A second tool that is a derivation from the Dreamy is the test Industry 4.0. This is a derivation from the Dreamy in the sense that it is an excerpt of questions and answers from the Dreamy, of a part of the questions and answers of the Dreamy, and in addition with 4 more areas of investigation. So besides the 6 areas of the Dreamy, we have also strategy, product, marketing and sales, and human resources. So in the end, this is quite a comprehensive tool because it covers almost all the areas of a company. It is delivered online, so it is comfortable to compile and doesn't need a person to go there. And for this reason, it has become very popular here. And here in Italy, we have achieved a number of about 2,000 compilations. Both these 2 tools are about digitization and Industry 4.0. Then, from the experience that we have built with these tools, we have prepared another tool that is the 6P digital transformation model. Actually, it was built on the experience of the previous 2 tools, but it serves a different purpose. The 6P transformation model supports manufacturing enterprises by assessing a current level of maturity that we call as is, and then an expected level of maturity that we call to be, and identify a transformation roadmap as the pathway from the as is level to the to be level. For this reason, we normally say that this approach is tactical, while the previous 2 tools that I was describing earlier can be considered as strategical tools in the sense that they provide a picture of the level of maturity of the company, and then on that base the company will make its evaluation. In this case, we prefer to say that the 6P it provides a tactical approach, meaning that the company normally has in place a pilot or an experiment through which it will improve some aspects of its organization with respect to the matter that is investigated, and for this reason we call it tactical. This is the reason why we very often use it in the European projects. In European projects, very often we have SMEs with pilots and experiments. And so it is very convenient to use this type of tool. Besides, this is a tool that takes about 1 hour for the compilation, so it is reasonably quick to be compiled, and we have found so always convenient to use it in the European projects. And other advantages of this tool is that this tool, besides being quick and besides it is also a versatile tool and lends itself to be easily adapted to different instantiations. So in the past, within the European projects, we have adapted the tool to different topics. as mentioned, the original one was developed for to assess the level of maturity of digitization of the company, but also we have developed it in other versions such as data and AI, Industry 5.0, scalability, replicability, and circular economy, which is the one that we are going to discuss today. And we have also had some instantiation by sector. The original version was about the manufacturing industry, but then we had instantiation about the process industry and the energy sector. So today we shall focus on the version for the circular economy. And actually, I wouldn't say that in this case we could speak of an instantiation of the digital transformation model, because in fact, in order to prepare the circular economy transformation model, we had a completely remaking from scratch of the questions and of the answers, because this was quite a different subject with respect to digitization. This work of preparing this tool was carried on within the project Circular TwAIN, and it was done a little more than 1 year ago. So let me now explain to you how the tool is made. Well, the name 6P takes after it's been built on 6 pillars, and then each pillar has 6 dimensions of analysis, and then to each dimension of analysis, for each dimension of analysis, we have 5 maturity levels. The 6 pillars are 3 technical pillars that are product circularity, so questions about the circularity of the product, questions about the circularity of the processes, and questions about the ICT support. And then we have 3 social business pillars, one about the staff, one about partnership with external partners, and one about the measure of the performances. Before entering into the detail of the questions and answers of the tool, I would like to explain to you how it was developed within the Circular TwAIN project. First of all, we made a desk research of the topics and concepts typical of the circular economy. Then we developed the maturity and assessment tool model, and then we validated it. Okay, now I would like to say something about the desk research. In the desk research, we made 2 types of works. In the first part of the work, we identified the processes that we deemed more relevant to circular economy. And in this case, the processes we identified were design and engineering, product life cycle assessment, the acquisition of raw materials, supply chain, production, which is not only production, same as in the concept of linear economy, but also reprocessing of the product at its end of life, quality management, after sales services, end of life, reverse logistics, and closed loop supply chain. So we identified these processes, and for each of these processes, we then made a further step and identified the topics that were more relevant to them. Let me make a couple of examples. I mentioned the production process. In the case of the production process, differently than the linear economy, when we think about production, we also have to think about the reprocessing of the product end of life. So we identified a number of topics that we deemed relevant to the production in circular economy. I'm not going to read all of them, just to mention some of them. Material selection, resource recovery, repair, remanufacturing and refurbishment, upcycling and downcycling, and so on. So we identified all of them. Just another example, reverse logistics. Normally, when we are in linear companies, in linear organization, we speak about logistics. In this case, we are more focused on reverse logistics, that is the managing of the flow of products, materials, and resources back into the value chain after their initial use. And in this case, we identified product returns and refurbishing, repairs and warranty recovery, remanufacturing, reprocessing, recycling, and so on. And we did all of this for all the processes that I had mentioned in my previous slide, in this slide here. We did the same. Then the second part of the desk research was about the identification of information systems, data, and AI-related technology, always relevant to circular economy. So in this case, the concepts, the topics that we identified were product lifecycle management, digital product passport, digital twin, asset administration shell, data models, data analytics, data spaces, and then industrial data spaces, industrial data platform, blockchain, and explainable AI. As you see, these are not very familiar concepts, I guess, probably to most of you. At least they are not concepts of common use within the SMEs. So here I would like to refer to two things. First of all, this was developed within the Circular TwAIn project that had among its specific goals to investigate these particular technologies. So this is why we choose these topics. The second issue is the one that I mentioned at the beginning. When we developed the tool, we also try to provide some news, some information, some suggestions, hints to the compiler, so that he may be curious about investigating these new technologies as an opportunity for its company. So we see it as an opportunity to provide something new if the SME was not aware of them. For this group of technology, we did the same work that we had done for the processes. So we identified a number of topics that were relevant to them. I will bring you again a couple of examples. In the case of the digital product passport, the digital product passport is a tool that accompanies the product through its life cycle, providing detailed information on its composition, origin, production process, disposal, recycling methods. And so we identify it contains basic product information, technical information, operating and maintenance instruction, life cycle information, end-of-life information, and so on. Another example of a tool which is in use in the circular economy, the digital twin, that is a virtual representation of a physical asset or a product or a system. And the topics that we identified were product monitoring and simulation, life cycle management, design optimization, life cycle monitoring and analysis, and so on. And again, we did this type of exercise for all the other concepts, as I have shown before, so data spaces, industrial data platform, asset administration shell, and so on. Okay, I made this long introduction just to let you understand how then all of this desk work entered into the tool and into the assessment tool that we have worked out. So let's go back to the slide that I was showing to you earlier. Now I have explained why the name of the tool is 6P, because it is based on 6 areas of investigation. In order to give you a little more detail, I will show you something about the product, and then the other are made more or less the same way. So let's enter into the product pillar. First of all, let me mention a few words about the scale. The maturity scale is a maturity scale based on a standard scale that you are surely familiar with. So we go from a level 1 initial, then managed, defined, integrated, and exploited. And to each of these levels, there is a corresponding attempt to make some standards in order to have some consistency among the answers. So in the case of the initial level, it means that we have little or no implementation. of that concept or of that dimension. In the case of the level 2 managed, it means that the circular economy practices are adopted in some aspects or function of the company, but limited, but with some limitation. For example, the existence of a pilot. The level 3 defined means that the circular economy practices are structurally adopted in the organization, but not necessarily throughout the whole organization. And then level 4, it means that it is widely adopted in the organization and exploited even outside the boundaries of the organization. Sorry. So I was saying that I was going to explain how all the concepts that we developed and studied in the desk research then entered into the tool. So here in the pillar product, you will recognize some of the topics that I have shown to you in the previous slides, such as material durability, sustainability, recyclability, waste reduction, use of scraps, and so on. All of this entered into the questions and the answers that we have prepared for this pillar. The 6 questions that we have identified are about product design and engineering, raw materials, end of life, product life cycle management and digital product passport, new business models, and use of data. Just to give you a little more zoom on this, the first, here are the questions. So product design and engineering, how does your company incorporate circular economy principles in the design and engineering of its new products? Raw material, how advanced is your approach to raw materials management, and so on. These are the questions. And a little more zoom, I will show you also the answer to question 1.1. Here you will recognize the question, the 5 level of maturity, and that within the answers there are the concepts that I was mentioning before. So we start from concept of durability, sustainability, recycling, and then concept of energy efficiency, material recyclability, and then when we go to the level 4, integrated reuse in manufacturing, the manufacturing, disassembly, and at level 5, closed loop approach, life cycle assessment, even to setting into the standard. So the concept that we had identified, of course, we prioritize them according to a level of basicness, and then we transfer them into our questions and answers. And I'm going to show you just the very first one, but all questions and answers of the tool were built up according to this concept. Okay, I will go through the other 6 pillars just to mention that we did the same thing. So in the case of the processes, which is the second pillar, we identify the topics that you can see on the left, and then the questions are about design and engineering. In this case, from the point of view of the process, while in the product it was more from the point of view of the product. Management of production and end of life, reprocessing, quality management, after sales services, reverse logistics management, and supply chain management. The third pillar is about the technologies to support circular economy practices, and you will remember that I mentioned the digital twins, the digital product passport, asset administration shells, data spaces, data analytics, and the topics in this case are asset administration. The questions in this case are asset administration shell, industrial data platform, digital twin, data analytics, data spaces, digital product passport. And then we have the pillar, the fourth pillar, people, that asks about the strategy, the environment, culture, organization in the company, the actual implementation, and then questions about staff, skills, and circular economy ethics. We have then the partnership pillar that is about the collaboration with external partners that can be research and innovation institutions, training and education institution, IT solution provider, then suppliers, customers, and then one question about the industrial agreements that are fundamental for circular economy. And the sixth pillar is about performances, And you will see here that besides asking about the traditional performances, like operational, technical, and economical performances, we also ask about environmental, social performances, and then product service life cycle, and about the supply chain. So this is an overview of how questions and answers have been built and how they look themselves. Now, in practice, how does the survey works? Well, we provide, it is, as mentioned, it is a survey that we deliver online. So we provide a link, and when you enter it, it is like any other online survey. You find a page of introduction, then some questions about your organization, and here you can see an example of the first question with its answers. You will note that among the answers, there are the two columns, as is and to be, as I mentioned at the beginning. The purpose of the tool is to define some transformation pathways. So we ask, what is the level of the organization at the beginning of a project or at the beginning of an experiment, and what is the expected level of the organization at the end of the project or experiment. And for this reason, the respondent has to provide at the same time the two answers. There is always the possibility to skip the question, selecting the not applicable choice in case the question is not applicable to the organization. So this is how it looks like. Then it is possible and even maybe recommendable to have an interview with Politecnico to refine the answers. As you have seen, the questions and the answers are not trivial. They are not immediate. They are not that easy. So in some cases, companies feel useful then to have a call with us and refine the answers. And the output, well, it is in a form that is definitely very familiar to you. That is the form of the radar chart that can have different representations. And you will note again that in the radar charts, we have two lines. The blue line that represents the as-is level, that is before the experiment, and the orange line that represents the to-be level, that is after the end of the experiment. And then there are other ways to show the results. For example, the one on the right bottom is about the improvement, and according to the size of the box, then that is the size of the improvement. And okay, I would also like to mention that normally in the European project, we run two iterations of the tool. In the first iteration, we do what I have just said until now. So we run it at the beginning of the experiment, and we ask about the as-is level of the company and the expected to be level. But normally, in the European project, it is customary for us to run it twice. And the second time is at the end of the experiment. And of course, in this case, the answers will not be about the expected to be, but about the actual to be. This makes it possible to measure the real impact of the experiment on the company, where the progress was, why, how it was achieved, and to assess the vision and planning capacity of the responsibles of the experiments. So if they really achieve the objectives, it was the expected to be, where are the deviations, how much they are, if there are possible corrective actions. Well, after the presentation of the tool, I would like to end with some example of applications. I have brought a couple of cases. The first one is from the Circular TwAIn project. In the Circular TwAIn project, we have 3 pilots, and each pilot have several use cases in it, actually. One pilot was about battery, circular value chain of battery packs, one about the treatment and disposal of WEEE, And one was about the ethylene oxide recovery in an ethylene glycol plant. So this was in the petrochemical field, and this was not about the product, but it was about an optimization of the process through the recovery of one of the components. So they were let's say that the first two cases were similar, and the third case was because they were focused on the product and on its end of life, while the third one was about an optimization of the process in a continuous process. This is the outcome of the aggregation of the three. I will explain why I'm showing the aggregation of the three in this slide. The aggregation is just the average of the answers of the three. This is something that we always do in the European project. So besides reporting about the individual answers, we also report about the aggregate answers, because the aggregate answers provides an idea of how much the project in itself impacted on its members through its experiments. Of course, we lose the detail of each respondent, but we have a general view. The general view here should be that the product and the platform had the greatest improvements, as you can see, as the distance between the orange line and the blue line, while the process was less important. But in this case, I wanted to bring this example because, in fact, in this project, we had several compilations because we had the 3 use cases, but more than 3 compilations actually. But the cluster is not homogeneous. In fact, the answers about the process were more relevant to the petrochemical industry, and the answers about the product and the platform were more relevant to the first 2 use cases. And so that's why in this picture we don't see any definite trend. I wanted to show this to you because later on I will show you, on the contrary, another project where the trends were more clear. Always in this project, I will show the results of one of the individual compilations. This was one of the compilations of the battery. And here we can see a correspondence to the actual purposes of the experiment. As you will see here, there is a relevance, for example, in the product dimension of the adoption of the digital product passport, and the same we can see in the platform pillar that it confirms the importance of the digital product passport. Here also in the product, we see the importance of the design and engineering, of the raw materials, of the end of life. And on the other hand, we see that the answer about the new business model was skipped, probably because it was a developmental project, and it was too early to speak about the new business model in the moment that they were answering to this survey. And we see that also the process has some relevance, and also in the platform we have important progress, especially in the digital product passport. The second project I would like to mention about is the Auto Twin that compiled a few weeks ago. In this case, we have 3 pilots. One again about battery. This is the tracking on outside packs of batteries through an online platform. Then one about the optimization of a PET recycling process by combining virgin PET with recycled PET to try to optimize the mix of the two. And one was about the sterilization of medical devices. I will show you just the aggregate results. You will see that first of all, product and process were more important, but the very first thing that pops up is that improvements are there, but they are small. They are definitely much smaller than the case that we have seen in the aggregate in the Circular TwAIn project. And the reason is that while the Circular TwAIn project was strictly focused on circular economy, the Auto Twin project was more focused on automation, also with some attention to circular economy practices. That's why the improvements are there, but they are smaller. Also, if we see at the platform, in the platform case, there are little improvements, but in fact, the questions were more tailored on what the Circular TwAIN project was focused on, and that's why in that case we had larger improvements. In this case, we have smaller improvements. So this was just to give you an idea of what could be the outcome of these compilations, and also how they can support the understanding of the project in itself and of the single experiments. I would like to finish this presentation with some takeaways. So the 6P transformation model is an online quick assessment tool. It is being widely adopted in European projects, especially where experiments are taking place, because it supports the understanding of the impact of the experiments on the respective organizations, offering a different point of view. It makes possible benchmark comparison among experiments in the same project, but if there are many experiments, as we had in some cases, and experiments are divided in clusters, also make comparison among clusters and even make comparison among projects. It is a versatile tool. It is adaptable to different topics and sectors. You will remember that I was mentioning that we instantiated it to data and AI, to Industry 5.0, to scalability and replicability. And finally, this is something that helps providing a picture of the experiment. It is something that it is nice to have in the deliverables, because it offers a different point of view. So we have instantiated a version dedicated to the adoption of circular economy practices, and we are looking for now we have validated it through the Circular TwAIN experiments, but now we are looking for further compilations. If anybody is interested, we would be very pleased to provide the link to the compilation, even assist them in the compilation if they need. And then to the compilers, we can provide, of course, the outcome with our comments that they can use for the purposes of their projects. So with that, that would be all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. If there is any question, please.
Thank you, Francesco. And you can stop sharing the screen. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or post in the chat box so that we can moderate for yourself. It will be great to have a few questions. Meanwhile, we wait for few questions. I would like to request you to take a small survey for our further improvements. It will be great input from your side. And you can send your code or in chat box, you can find the link to the survey. Last but not the least, we would like to highlight our last webinar before Easter break, which will be as follows. Streaming sustainable circular economy decisions with Greta, which is a tool, also useful, very useful. It will be on 3rd of April from 10 to 11 a.m. CEST, and it will be delivered by Jennifer and Erika from SUPSI. Thank you again, and see you on 3rd of April. Please, we are still open for your questions, so don't hesitate. Raise your hand, paste into the chat box.
Of course, I take the opportunity to mention that if anybody wishes to get more information about, I will be very happy. They can write to me an email, contact me, ask Ashvini for my contact. And of course, I will be very pleased to provide more information if needed.
Yes, in Eventbrite page, you have my email ID and other relevant contact details. So feel free to reach out for any kind of questions or any information regarding the DACAP or other relevant project that we are having here in our manufacturing group. Also, I can paste in chat box my email and my colleague emails. With that, we would like to take a leave, and once again, thank you so much. You want to say something, Fran?
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks again from behalf of DACAP consortiums, from everybody from here, Professor Marta Pinzone, Danusia, and Francesco, and see you in a few weeks again on 3rd of April. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.